And Governor, thank you for bringing us together in leadership to both heal and find a better pathway towards a better future. I just wish it wasn't under such tragic circumstances. Um, I won't mince words. The acts that took place in Jersey City earlier this week was a vile act of anti-Semitism in its most despicable form. In recent years, we've seen anti-Semitism raise its ugly head across our country, in Charlottesville, in Pittsburgh, in Poway, and more. And so it's sad to add Jersey City to that list of cities, one of the most diverse and tolerant cities in the nation. But this city is resilient, and it will overcome these dark days. I know that we cannot express our sorrow for the lives that were lost sufficiently, and to their families, from Mindy Ferenc and Moshe Deutsch to Miguel Douglas Rodriguez, nor can we truly express our sadness for the family of Detective Joseph Seals, who not only spent his life, but gave his life defending his community and his country. And that's the other part of the tragic circumstances here. Anti-Semitism, but also the vileness towards those who wear the uniform every day and protect us. His sacrifice reminds that every day that our police officers put on a uniform and risk their lives for perfect strangers ahead of their own. And it is only sometimes in moments of tragedy, like now, that we remember that incredible sacrifice that they do each and every day. People of all backgrounds know, as I have lived in this county all of my life, that Jersey City is an incredible community amongst many incredible communities in a diverse county. I come from part of that diversity. We also know that at times the dark angels in people come forward. And while we are focused on the tragedy that took place here, I hope we are reminded that hatred very often rears its face in many different ways. In this case, it was an act of anti-Semitism and anti-police bias, but in other cases it could be against a Muslim, it could be against a Hindu, it could be against a Coptic Christian, it could be against just about anyone. I am reminded, as the author of New Jersey's Bias Crime Law, of what gave rise to that law. It was here in Jersey City and in Hoboken that Indian Americans were being attacked by an infamous group called the Dot Busters. And at the end of the day, it was that community that came forth to us and said, we're being hurt. We need help. And we found that there was no law that actually dealt with the crime of bias in terms of setting a higher penalty. And that gave genesis to New Jersey's bias crime law, one of the first in the nation. It also gave me impetus when I went to the Senate to help pass the Matthew Shepard law that ultimately deals with questions of hate based on race, religion, ethnic origin. And I will just simply say we cannot eradicate the hatred in one's heart through a law, but we can send a societal message that it's not acceptable. And today we join together to send a societal message that this type of bigotry, this type of anti-Semitism, this type of anti-law enforcement effort, this type of prejudice is not acceptable in our society. And I just hope we'll hear from our faith leaders about how we can find ways to build the bridges, to strengthen our relationships with our communities in a way that doesn't require a law, but at the end brings us closer together. And in that regard, whether it is when we had faith institutions under assault, we found federal dollars with my colleagues to help protect those institutions. But if we need new legislation to strengthen the consequence, to send a societal message that is even stronger, that acts against an individual because of their race, their religion, their ethnic origin, or for any other purpose of bias, then we will do so. And the last point I would make is that we seek to come together in moments of tragedy. I just think we need to work to come together in moments in which we are not in tragedy. And to also do something. New Jersey has one of the toughest gun laws in the nation. Therefore, it has one of the lowest rates of death by a gun. But when other states in the country allow guns to be easily sold, and then they come into our state, all of those toughest laws don't achieve the goals that we want. That is why I know my colleagues and I are continuing to fight in Washington to change that reality. And I hope that from this tragedy, we will make a living commitment to those who lost their lives so that their lives will not have been in vain. Thank you very much, Governor.